It was Sunday, the 3rd of August, just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when the quiet rhythm of Skene Street in Aberdeen broke. The street isn't the kind of place you'd expect headlines to be born. It's lined with old stone buildings, the kind that hold decades of whispered stories. But that day, the whispers gave way to sirens. Inside one of those flats, police found Austin Ironside, a 25-year-old whose friends say you couldn't meet without hearing him laugh, lying seriously injured. No one knew it yet, but that moment would mark the start of a chain of events that would grip the city, shake a family, and draw in Scotland's top detectives. And while paramedics worked against the clock, a question was already forming in the minds of those first officers on the scene. Was this an accident or the beginning of something far darker? The moment they reached him, it was clear Austin's injuries were not minor. Paramedics lifted him from the flat and into the back of an ambulance, the blue lights reflecting off the granite walls as they sped toward Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. Every second mattered. For the next 48 hours, doctors fought to keep him alive. His family waited by the phone, clinging to the hope that youth and strength might pull him through. But on Tuesday, the 5th of August, hope gave way to heartbreak. Austin Ironside, the man who, just days earlier, had been walking these same streets, was gone. It wasn't just the loss of a young life that stunned those who knew him. It was the way it happened, and the feeling that this was no random tragedy. At first, the questions were whispered neighbors wondering if it had been some kind of accident, maybe a fall, maybe a fight gone wrong. But when the post-mortem results came back, those whispers turned into something sharper. The injuries Austin suffered didn't match an accident. Police Scotland's major investigation team stepped in the kind of unit that doesn't waste its time on coincidences. They officially labeled the death suspicious. The flat on Skene Street was sealed off with blue and white tape. Crime scene officers moved in, photographing every angle, dusting for fingerprints, searching for whatever small clue could tell them what had really happened in those final moments. For detectives, the path was clear. This wasn't a medical emergency. This was a crime scene. As news of his death spread, it wasn't the word suspicious that echoed the loudest, it was the memories people shared. Austin's family released a statement. It was short, but it hit like a punch to the chest. Austin was popular, always smiling. His laugh was infectious. He would do anything to help anyone. Friends posted photos Austin grinning at gatherings, leaning on a motorbike, surrounded by mates. That same smile in every frame. This wasn't just another name in a police report. This was someone's son, someone's friend, someone who could light up a room without saying a word. And that's what made the investigation feel different. Detectives weren't just chasing a suspect, they were chasing justice for a man whose life and laughter had been stolen. Skene Street stayed sealed for days. Locals walking past could see detectives moving in and out, some carrying evidence bags, others taking notes under the grey Aberdeen sky. Police Scotland's major investigation team made it clear this wasn't going to be left as another unsolved death. They launched a full appeal, asking anyone, no matter how small their piece of information, to come forward. It wasn't just the obvious witnesses they wanted. They asked for dashcam footage, CCTV from nearby shops, even for residents to check their doorbell cameras from that weekend. Behind the scenes, interviews were being conducted, timelines built, and alibis tested. Because somewhere in the noise of those early hours, there had to be the truth. And the detectives knew that whoever was responsible might already be watching the investigation unfold. For more than a week, it was all behind the scenes work, officers combing through evidence, chasing leads. Then on Monday, the 11th of August, the first major break came. A 46-year-old man was arrested in connection with Austin's death. Neighbors watched as plainclothes detectives led him away. But then, in a move that puzzled many, he was released. No charges, no explanation beyond inquiries continuing. It could have ended there, just another name in a long list of people questioned and cleared. But it didn't. 2 days later, on Wednesday, the 13th of August, that same man was re-arrested. Only this time, it wasn't for questioning. It was for murder and robbery. Something had shifted. Some new piece of evidence had landed on a detective's desk, and it changed everything. By the afternoon of Thursday, the 14th of August, the quiet hum outside Aberdeen Sheriff Court was broken by the sound of camera shutters. The man now formally accused of killing Austin Ironside was named in court as Scott Adams, aged 46. He faced 2 charges, murder and robbery. In the courtroom, there was no dramatic speech, no plea of innocence or guilt. Adams simply made no plea. The sheriff ordered him remanded in custody with instructions to appear again within 8 days. Outside, reporters shouted questions, hoping for any scrap of detail. But police and prosecutors stayed silent, guarding whatever evidence had turned this from a suspicious death into a full-blown murder case. Inside the building, though, one thing was clear. This was no longer just an investigation. This was a criminal trial in motion. Even after Scott Adams was charged, detectives made it clear the case was far from over. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said they were pursuing a positive line of inquiry, but they wouldn't say what that was. Was it a witness finally coming forward? A forensic result back from the lab? Or maybe something hidden in hours of CCTV footage? The phrasing was deliberate, just enough to spark confidence in the investigation, but not enough to reveal their hand. In major cases like this, positive doesn't always mean final. Sometimes it means they're closing in, and sometimes it means they've just found another thread to pull. For the public and for Austin's family, it was a reminder that answers might be close, or that the mystery could still take another unexpected turn. While detectives chased leads, the streets of Aberdeen carried a different kind of noise, the sound of grief. On social media, tributes poured in. Friends posted photos of Austin at parties, on nights out, leaning over pool tables, always with that wide grin. One post read, "You never passed me without a hello. The world's darker without you." A fundraiser launched in his name quickly climbed past £1,600, meant to help his family with funeral costs. Every donation came with a message, memories, condolences, and in some cases, quiet anger. Neighbors spoke to local reporters about the shock of seeing their street turned into a crime scene. Many still struggled to believe that the young man they'd seen just days before was gone. Austin's story wasn't just in the hands of detectives anymore. It was etched into the collective memory of a community that wanted answers. The facts we know are chilling enough. A young man full of life found fatally injured, a suspect charged with murder and robbery, and detectives hinting at a positive line of inquiry. But the gaps in between, those are what keep this case alive in the public's mind. What exactly happened inside that Skene Street flat?
Was robbery the real motive, or a cover for something far more personal?
The answers are still locked away in police files and perhaps in the mind of the man now sitting in custody. For Austin's family, the wait for justice has only just begun. For the rest of us, it's a puzzle with pieces still missing. And as more details emerge, one truth remains. The smile that defined Austin Ironside will not fade from memory, and the hunt for the full story isn't over. What's your theory? Leave it in the comments and stay tuned, because when the next twist drops, you'll hear it here first.